Saying that annual rent is here, premium is going to add in the rent, means premium is going to increase the answer. If property income increases, definitely tax is going to increase, and if property income decreases, tax is going to decrease. And then we do have some allowed expenses. A lot of expenses I wrote here, but the general definition is expenses must be revenue expense. You know what is capital and what is revenue expense? Do you have any idea?
Revenue expenses are day-to-day expenses.
Day-to-day routine expenses, not bringing improvement, not purchase any asset. If you are purchasing a non-current asset, it's a capital expense. If you are spending money which is bringing you improvement, this is also a capital expense. So first thing is, expense must be revenue expense. Look at this slide, please. Expense must be revenue expense. Second, this should not be personal expense of landlord. This expense must be property related expense. Revenue expense, property related expense, and the third one is paid by landlord during the tax year 21-22. So these are the conditions. Any expense can be allowed expense if he meets these all conditions, 1 plus 2 plus 3. Revenue expense paid in tax year and must be exclusively spent on property. If any expense meet these all three conditions, this expense is going to be allowed expense. For example, you can see repairs. Repair is a revenue expense. Redecoration. Redecorating anything is also a revenue expense. Replacement. Now, very carefully. Replacement of asset. This means replacement of asset. You have an AC unit and you are replacing it with same technology, same item, same thing. So it's a revenue expense, is not a capital expense. But if you have non-inverter AC and you are replacing it with a higher model, or you can say with a inverter technology or with a improved technology, so it's definitely a replacement with improvement. If replacement with the same model, it's revenue expense in accordance with taxation. But if replacement with improved version, it's a capital expense as per taxation. Then insurance, agent fees, advertisement, management expenses of property, all the utilities include electricity, water, council means cleanness expenses. These all are allowed expenses. Motor expenses means if landlord is going here and there for his property business, let's say he's going to collect the rent, he's going to fix some issues in property, he's going to give advertisement to an ad agency for to let out the property. This type of expenses must be revenue expense paid by landlord during tax year 21-22, and expense should be wholly and exclusively for property. If these all conditions satisfied, these expense will be deducted from annual rent and premium amount. The more the expenses are allowed, the lower will be the answer of property income, which means, as we said earlier, if you have more income, you have to pay more tax. If you have less income, your tax will going to reduce. Any questions, please?
No questions.
Next. Now, basis of assessment. In accounting, you knows accrual concept. Accrual means the due ends. How many months, like that, right or wrong?
Right.
But in property income, we do have both basis, cash basis as well as accrual basis. We have both basis. So by default, the examiner team suggests by default. By default means if question is silent, you have to use cash basis. If question is silent, they are not telling you which basis you should use, you have to use cash basis. But if examiner specify, then only you will adopt accrual basis. Accrual, examiner will demand you to do so. By default, it's cash basis. Accrual means same like this. 6 by 12, 9 by 12, this is accrual. How many months, this, that, this concept is accrual. Cash concept, I will let you know within a while. Okay, any questions? Yes, any questions?
So if by default, then we will use cash basis.
Correct. Now read the question number 1, please.
Hamberry owns a property that was let for the first time on 1st July 2021. The rent of £5,000 per annum is paid quarterly in arrears. Hamberry paid allowable expenses of £200 in December 2021 related to redecoration following a burst pipe and £400 in May 2022 relating to repair work which was completed in March 2021. Calculate Hamberry's property income for the tax year 2021 to 2022.
Now, during the tax year, they let out the property. 6th April 21, 5th April 22, this is my tax year. 1st July 21, they let it out, means money start coming in. How much rent they received in advance? How much rent they received? 5. Is there say any basis of assessment you have to use? They wrote anything or no?
They didn't write anything, so we'll use cash basis.
Cash basis. And in cash basis, my question to you, how much money do Hamberry receive? How much money he received? Yes. Your voice is not.
Yes. Are we talking about the tax year 2022?
How much cash he got during tax year 2022?
$5,000.
He got 5,000 cash. You are right. That is my annual rent received. I will not do this working like July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 9 by 12. No, this is accrual. This is accrual. And by default, we have to use cash basis. Cash basis means note. You will focus on money. Is money received or no? How much money received? don't consider the period, but see 21, 22. How much you got? We got 5,000, means all of 5,000 will be ARR. ARR means annual rent received. Same applies, same will apply to expenses. Now they are saying it's allowed expense 200. December 21. Is December 21 in the tax year or no?
Yes.
Should I deduct it or no?
Yes.
Okay. What else?
£400 won't be included, right?
Why? You are right, but why?
Because it was paid in May.
May after tax year. If it is paid after tax year, it should not be, it must not be included, although it relates to my year end because the pipe busted in March. But no, we will only focus on money. So money paid on May 22, which is outside the tax year, so we are going to ignore it. Any questions, please?
No question. Can I copy this one?
Yeah, sure. Now, learned that general rule for expenses are three conditions: paid by landlord during tax year, revenue expense, and wholly and exclusively for property. Do we have any exceptions or any exclusion for this rule? So yes, we do have. So the exclusion to the general rule is interest. Interest paid on acquisition of property. Simple. You don't have money and you want to buy a property in order to start your rental income, rental business. You went to the bank, you took a loan, and you bought a property in order to earn money through rental income. So bank is going to charge you interest or no?
Yes, bank will charge.
Bank will charge interest. A bank is charging interest. Normally it's a revenue expense and accounting is allowing it. But in tax, this interest is not allowed. This interest is specifically not allowed. You are not allowed to deduct interest cost or finance cost on the loan which you acquire in order to purchase property. This loan interest is not going to deduct from the format of property income. So what effect it will give us, we will discuss with question number 2. Please read question number 2, Adams.
Adam owns a residential property that he lets out. During the tax year 2021 to 2022, he received rent of £15,000 and paid the following expenses: agent fees 1,000, insurance 1,500, gardener cost 1,300, interest cost on loan to acquire property 7,500. During the tax year 2021 to 2022, Adam has also trading income of £42,000 and bank interest income of £800. Calculate Adam's income tax liability after reliefs for the tax year 2021 to 2022.
Okay. Do they set any basis of assessment or silent?
It is silent.
Means cash basis. How much money you got?
15,000.
Very good. There is no premium because still we didn't discuss premium. Allowed expenses. Agent fees, what do you think? Is a revenue expense paid by landlord during the tax year 21-22. So should it allow? Should I allow it or no? How much?
1,000.
Next is insurance. Same conditions satisfied, allowed. Gardener cost, definitely gardener is also a revenue expense. It's like repairing. allowed than interest on loan which we acquire to which we took to acquire property. What rule we discuss? Is it allowed or no? Hello?
It will be.
Huh?
It might.
What we learned just now, I said finance cost on acquisition of property will never be allowed. This is a exclusion of normal rule that revenue expenses are allowed, but this is exclusion of the rule that interest on loan to acquire property will never be allowed, and you must write 0 here. This writing a 0 will give you mark. Otherwise, you are going to lose this mark. Okay, you will write 0 or you must write a note. So better to write 0 instead of writing a note, because writing a note will take some time. And we do have property income. The total of expenses is this, and 11,200 is my property income. But in this question, they didn't ask you to calculate property income. They asked us to calculate income tax liability, means non-savings, savings, dividend, right?
Yes.
In this question, there is no dividend. Property income, we just calculated 11,200. Trading income is also part of non-savings. And interest income is 800. Can you tell me the total, please?
Non-savings is 53,200. 54,000.
This is total income. There is no qualifying interest, means net income. We were going to deduct personal allowance, and 12,570 will be deducted because T&I is less than 100,000. So no need to work for A&I or reduction in personal allowance. We are going to have taxable income, and after getting taxable income, we will make bands and we will calculate tax. So what?
Non-saving is 40,630.
Okay. 41,430.
41,430.
You want to copy it? Please go ahead. After getting taxable income, what we need to do, we need to calculate tax through banding system. We know the bands. Tell me, is he basic band taxpayer or higher band taxpayer? What do you think? Higher. Okay, we identified. Now, non-savings. First of all, non-savings. The basic band is how much? Basic band is how much? The limit?
3770.
And percentage is 20%. We will get answer of 7540. And in higher, how much it will go?
3730.
How much?
3730.
Again, check, we are focusing on non-saving only.
2930.
Okay, 2930. 40%, how much?
1172.
Okay. Savings. In savings, our non-saving is higher. Savings income, our taxable non-saving is higher than 5,000 pounds, means there will be no start band. But in the saving, we have nil rate band, right or wrong?
Yes.
This guy is higher band taxpayer, so the limit is 500 and 0%. Remaining where?
300.
Remaining will fall under which band? Basic or higher? Basic band is already consumed, right or wrong? Hello.
Yes, it's consumed.
So the remaining out of 800, the remaining 300,
300.
and the rate is 40%.
Okay. 120.
Total is
8,832.
okay. Till here, we did in the same manner which we learned earlier. Earlierly, when we start studies this topic, this was called income tax liability, right or wrong? But now we learned interest on loan which we paid in order to acquire property. So if interest on loan to acquire property is given, there is a relief available, and this relief will be deducted here. This relief is very fixed, is fixed amount. As you can say, relief on finance cost to acquire property, and its fixed amount. The fixed amount is you have interest at the rate of 20%. This is the formula. Interest payment is how much?
7,500.
20% is fixed and it will remain fixed, no change. So what is the 20% of 7,500?
1,500.
1,500 will deduct from 8832 and the answer will be income tax liability. 1 second. 8832 we learned earlier.
Yes.
See, Uzma, earlier 8832 was called income tax liability. But if we have interest on loan and the loan must be taken in order to acquire property, this interest is not allowed expense from property income. As you saw, we wrote zero while we were calculating property income. We wrote zero over there. So interest cost to acquire property is not an allowed expense, but on the contrary, the second effect, it's not allowed. First impact means we will going to write zero. The second impact is the amount of interest at the rate of 20%, whatever the amount will come, it's going to reduce our income tax liability. Means interest cost on loan to acquire property will be a reducer in ITL, income tax liability. Nothing to do with property income. It will be reducer of our income tax liability. Got my point?
Could you repeat that again?
I said interest on loan to acquire property is not an allowed expense in property income. That's why we wrote zero, right or wrong?
Yes.
But it's a reducer in income tax liability. So while we are making the main format and bending system, after we got the final answer, which is 8832 in this question, we will deduct 20% of interest cost as a reducer of liability, reduction in liability, to get the answer, which will be called income tax liability. Got my point?
Okay.
Please copy it. Next topic is mileage allowance. If a landlord drive his own car for uh, for property related matters, he will get an allowance. This allowance will be known as mileage allowance, and the amount of mileage is fixed amount. It will not be the same amount which he is spending. This amount will be restricted to this formula. For example, if he drove 10,000 miles, up to 10,000 miles, up to 10,000 miles, the allowance will be 0.45. 45 pence. Pence means 0.45 pounds. And if he drove above 10,000 miles, for the excess miles, the rate will be 0.25. Plus, this is the mileage allowance you are going to get if landlord is driving his own car for business, for property business. Plus, petrol, insurance is also an allowed expenses. He can deduct petrol and insurance cost as well. How to do it, we will learn from question. Any problems?
No problem.
Okay. Now, replacement of asset. Earlier, I just told you replacement has two categories. First is with improvement and another is without improvement. With improvement is allowed expense. Sorry, with improvement is not allowed expense and without improvement is allowed. Because if there is an improvement, it's capital expense and capital expense will never be allowed. I give you an example earlier. Replacement of same type of asset with the same model is example of without improvement. But if you are replacing your existing asset with a higher quality or higher brand, or you can say with an improved version, it will be with improvement. And with improvement, we will write 0 because it's not allowed. But if it is without improvement, is like versus like. You give your same asset, you replace it with the same asset, same category, then it will be allowed expense. And how it will be allowed? What amount it will be allowed? So the formula is here. This is the formula. Formula is replacement cost minus scrap value. Replacement cost will be given to you. You will take the replacement cost and you will deduct the scrap value from it. Then you will get an amount which is an allowed expense. This is replacement of asset relief. Any questions? Hello?
No questions. Not yet. I guess when we do the questions,
Yes, yes,
maybe
sure.
then I can understand.
Now, question in front of you. Please read the question. Amal. Yeah, here you go.
Amal owns a cottage that she lets out furnished at an annual rent of 3,600 pounds payable monthly in advance. She incurred the following expenditure. May 2021 replacement of bathroom curtains 150. May 2021 replacement of broken kitchen units in a fitted kitchen with a unit of similar standard 275. June 2021 insurance for the year from 5th July 2021 480. November 2021 dishwasher 380. May 2022 redecoration Work completed in March 2022, 750. The tenant has vacated the property during June 2021 without having paid the rent due for June. Amal was unable to trace the defaulting tenant but managed to let out the property to new tenants from 1st July 2021. The new tenants paid security deposit of £800 to Amal on 1st July 2021. The old bedroom curtains had no disposable value. A dishwasher has not previously been provided in the property. Amal drove 120 miles in her car in relation to the property business during the tax year 2021 to 2022. Amal's claim HMRC's approval mileage allowance. Calculate property income for the tax year 2021 to 2022.
Okay, it's a big question, right?
Yes.
Okay, now I will ask you one very easy question. Is any basis given to you? They said any basis? No. Means annual rent received. Yani cash basis we are going to use, right or wrong?
Right.
Tell me, your rent is how much? 3,600, right?
Yeah. Yes.
How much you got money from? How much you received cash? Did you receive 3,600 or no?
In advance, yes.
Huh?
Yes.
The annual rent is 3,600 payable in advance. Just read this line. The tenant had vacated the property in June and he didn't pay for the rent of the month of June. And we found another tenant which starts from July. So with reading this line, what do you say? Did he get 3,600 whole amount or he lose 1 month rent?
He lost 1 month.
So he lost 1 month rent means his annual rent received should be how much?
And 600. Annual, right? So it's only for 11 months.
Yeah, so this 3,600 is annual rent means this is for 12 months. So divided by 12, multiply by 11.
11.
Get answer 3,300, right or wrong?
Right.
Now allowed expenses one by one. First of all, just see the dates, please. Focus on the dates. The first one, I will highlight it with green. Is this May 21 in my tax year or no?
Yes.
Sorry.
April, May. Yes, it's included.
There's also June also, this also, and the last one,
No.
no. We have basis. Which basis we are using?
Cash basis.
Okay, cash basis. First expense is replacement. Replacement, whenever the replacement comes, you must see without improvement. What you will see?
Without improvement.
Without improvement, and the formula is replacement cost minus scrap value, right or wrong?
Yes.
Okay, now replacement of bathroom curtains. Did they write anything that you replace it with the very nice bathroom curtains with diamonds or something like that? They write anything or no? Means it's a general replacement, right?
Yes.
What is the price?
150.
Any scrap value is given?
It says it has no disposable value.
Means 150. Any questions?
Question.
Then replacement of broken kitchen with the similar standard, right or wrong?
Right.
Okay. Is it 275? Is it without improvement? Yes, it's same, no? Same unit means without improvement. Any scrap value is given? No scrap value. Then insurance. There are two amounts of insurance are given. One is for this year and one is for previous year. 420 and 480. Which you are going to take?
The previous year.
Previous year or current year?
Aren't we gonna divide it like from April to December?
Basis
It's
we are
420
following, please tell me which basis we are following.
cash basis.
So not allowed to do monthly working. You can ask me, sir, why you did monthly working here? This is not the accrual concept. This is simple cash calculation, that what amount you receive. You receive 11 months rent out of 12 months. This is cash working, not accrual working. So you are not allowed to do it. You are not allowed to compute the months because you are following cash basis. Previous year is not relevant because it's previous year. We will take current year, which is 480. Any questions?
No questions.
Next one is dishwasher. What they wrote? Anything wrote? They wrote? Is it replacement or is just purchase a new asset?
Purchase of new asset.
Purchase a new asset is capital expense.
Capital
Not
expenditure.
allowed. I wrote 0. And redecoration, it's in May 20. Payment is in May, means not allowed. It's not in my tax year. And the last line, they wrote mileage, no?
Yes.
What was my formula for mileage? And we will get the property income. Mileage allowance up to 10,000 miles, it's fixed, 0.45 per mile. How many miles he drove?
120.
So 120 into 0.45, how much?
54.
54. Property income we will get. Any questions, please?
Okay.
Please copy it down.